Guys, I don't know about you, but I've been having a pretty great summer so far. Apart from personal life stuff, I've been getting tons of work done on setting up my office, and this video is going to be a continuation of that. But I wanted to start out by saying thank you to everyone who has been providing positive feedback as I've been going through these projects. When I decided to move in, I was like, it's maybe not quite the right time. I have a lot of other stuff going on, and I would like some dedicated time to focus on that. But if there's one thing I've learned in the past, I don't know, several years, or the time I've spent doing YouTube, is that there's never really an ideal time when you have an open calendar and a mind that's free from troubles and other distractions. Sometimes you just have to dive in head first or feet first, or however you like to dive. I think one of those definitions works. But today I'm going to be focusing on some of the smaller things, the minutia, the details, or what have you, because I think it often is those small details that make a finished product what it is. So if you've been wondering what little things have been sort of picking away at my brain that I've been wanting to finish but haven't made time for, stick around, because that's what I'm going to be working on today.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by the Y60, a striking and versatile ATX case with a 3-piece wraparound tempered glass side panel that provides a breathtaking view of your PC's inner workings. The exclusively vertical GPU mount includes a PCIe Gen 4 riser cable and still allows for additional half-height expansion cards, and vented panels throughout the chassis allow for airflow while adding an aesthetic finishing touch. The Y60 includes 3 Flow FE 120mm fans and is available in black, white, or red. Click the sponsor link in the description for more.
First item of business today is getting my network set up a little bit more appropriately. You might have seen my pfSense build where I built a computer to just act as a pfSense router. And I'm happy to say that that's been very functional, especially now that I've done a little bit more setup with it. I don't want to go into the details because I don't want to show too much of how my network is actually set up, but I did need Wi-Fi, and I was able to add that pretty quickly with this Netgear access point right here. This was $27. It is dead simple to install. It goes up to AC 1200 speeds in terms of wireless, which should be more than what I need here. Anything that I'm going to need serious speeds with is going to be hardwired. But after simply getting this out of the box, plugging in the AC power, wiring up the RJ45 jack with an Ethernet cable to the switch that I have connected to my pfSense router, it was automatically assigned an IP address. I went into the pfSense control panel to see what that IP address was, and then I was able to navigate to that in a web browser to set up the SSIDs and the passwords and security. The next project is maybe a little bit too big to be considered a small thing, but you can see the results of it behind me here already. Joe helped me build some more furniture that we got from IKEA, and these are the Fjallbo. They are technically TV stands, I believe, and there's a few different shapes and sizes of them. I first showed these in Joe's desk build video, and in the comments there, I was told by apparently Swedish native speakers that Fjallbo means a person who lives in the mountains. So that is information that we know now, and very great naming scheme for your products, IKEA. But I got these because they're the right size for my needs. I wanted something to go back in the corner here. I was thinking about just building out some cabinets and putting a countertop on top of that, but this was less expensive, and I think it has a pretty cool look too. They are metal frames with wood panels that go on top. It's not the exact same finish as my walnut tabletop that I have here, but it's a darker and a warmer wood grain, so I think it blends in just fine. Joe and I had 2 of these to assemble together, and it wasn't too difficult. The metal frames are perhaps not quite as forgiving as some of the wood-based stuff that you can get at IKEA, and I think we were able to get everything squared up for the most part, and now they are installed back here in the corner, and you've probably actually seen them in a few videos now because I've been shooting things a little bit out of order recently. And apart from being a place where my main computer can live, there are some cabinets for storage down underneath, and then just some tops where I can stack some stuff up. And I'm sure what I have on display there is going to evolve over time as I continue to transport stuff here from my former workplace, my garage set back home, where I'm still steadily clearing stuff out of. For example, just today I was heading over to the office and I looked around like, what could I bring? And I was like, oh yeah, I've got some graphics cards like this RTX 3090 that Kyle seems to have forgotten I have because he hasn't been asking for it back. Do you think he'll remember? Maybe. If I put it in the background of my videos, perhaps that will remind him even more so. But you know, he has one of my 3090s anyway, so it seems like a fair trade for now. So with the person who lives in the mountain assembled and built out, it was time to move on to some actual small things. For example, the sit-stand control box for this desk, the desk frame that's under this desk, I should say. I didn't actually mount to the desk when I put the desktop on, so it was just sort of dangling down there, but I'm actually glad that I didn't install it where I would have naturally installed it, probably right over here where I would normally be sitting when I'm sort of using this like a normal computer desk. When we were doing the build that you hopefully recently saw with the Be Quiet FX series Post products, we found it was really handy to be building on a desk that could move up and move down. Sometimes it's easier to reposition the camera, and other times it's easier just to raise the desk or lower the desk to get the right angle you want at the build that we're putting together. So for that reason, I decided to mount it on the far side of the desk, so it's not really accessible here for me on this side, but when we're doing builds, that will be a lot easier for the camera person to raise or lower the desk to get the right shot. Here's a small thing that quite a few people have commented on ever since we did the painting in here. Some people were upset with us that we had painted over some of the wall panel covers that were existing here in the office. Honestly, for any of the panels that were that garish bronze finish, like the metallic finish, I have no regrets at all, but I did still have some wall panels that were still the old beige finish, including a couple that were pretty visible back here behind the main shooting area. And so for that, I needed paint, and the paint that we got to paint in here was in a big old bucket that's been sitting for at least a week or two. So I had to shake that up to mix it around as much as possible. And then we actually purchased a small paint can because I had in my head, I'm gonna wanna do touch-ups at some point. I'm not gonna wanna access that big old paint bucket every time I need some paint. So I got the small can to pour some into so I could do some touch-ups. I also brought some white paint that I have from home back when we did our remodel. This is like mostly white, it's called Whisper White or something like that, but it's white enough compared to the paint that's already in here that it will look white. This allowed me to carefully paint over the telephone jack that's down here in the corner to make that a nice gray finish. Since it's painting over plastic, it's definitely something that needed a few coats, so I had to wait to dry and reapply in between coats. Since I have no intention of taking these panels off the wall, I just painted them in place. And then I do still have some electrical outlets around the office that I've either changed out the faceplate for, but the plugs themselves are still that kind of crappy beige color, or where the plate and the plugs are both mismatched. Now, there's certain things that I can do in my office and certain things that I can't do in my office since this is a lease, and there are some things where technically I would need to get in touch with building management in order to do that. And because that includes electrical work, I've decided to go with the workaround here and just paint the outlets themselves that white finish. And you know what? Again, after a couple different coats, I think it turned out just fine. And anytime I need to go with a wider shot here at my desk, I can have those in the background and I can be a little bit more assured that they're gonna blend in and no one's gonna be like, ew, look at those wall plates, they don't match. Again, small things, finishing touches, but the next thing have been standing out to me even more than those. Gonna do a couple quick fixes to the RGB sound panel. First of all, where some of the foam squares meet at the edges, you can see a little light peeking through, so I think I have a good fix for that. And then around in the back, especially in the corners where I sort of doubled up the LED, it's starting to peel off, so I'd like to fix that too. So I got my glue gun for the LED strips, and for those foam panels, I'm gonna use a needle and thread. So obviously both my hot glue skills and my sewing skills leave a little bit to be desired, but I think this at least got the job done for now. And again, I'm super happy with the design of this panel because it was pretty simple to lift off the wall, get onto the desk to do a little bit of work on it, and then pop back on, because I know at this point that I'm going to be doing a little bit more work on this in the future, because while it's better than it was, there are still some small details about it that stand out to me a bit. In particular, over on this side of the set, I'm going to get a plant to sit on the ground down there to kind of go in front of those outlets and to at least mask a little bit, or have the cord coming over to plug the RGB wall panel in. That pretty much brings us up to speed with the work I've done so far. I have a few things that have arrived here though, so I'm going to quickly open these up and see if they can be integrated. Ah yes, poles. Okay, these are some accessories I got to help me with overhead rigging for lights, so let's see if these work. Alright, let me try to explain my plan for these. I already showed in a previous video this drop ceiling mount, and these are the more expensive ones. I got 4 more here. These cost like half as much, but they didn't have prime shipping. But these actually look a bit beefier and a bit sturdier even, and they also are a little bit longer, so it would drop down a little bit further. This is like lighting or grip equipment. I believe this is called a swivel grip or something like that. And these are actually the cheaper plastic ones. I bought these intentionally because although I do much prefer the more sturdy metal ones that are much more sturdy, these are much more lightweight. weight because I don't want to put a lot of weight up on the ceiling. Okay, I think this is going to work. The only issue is that those other ones I talked about, the stub part at the bottom is fatter, so it's not lining up quite as well with that one, at least for the bolt to secure it to go on. This one drops down a little bit further. It's still a little sideways, but I think it's still going to work. Does that make any sense? These will grip the top, and this will hang down with a pole on it underneath, and I can extend this pole and make it longer by adding this one as well, but I got to get that orange thing off of there. Then one more of these can mount in the middle, and then that post there should be where the light mounts. And that should give me some flexibility there for the light, and it should also bring the light down, I don't know, a good 6 or 8 inches lower. Let's see if it works. Alright, so this sort of worked, but not completely because I'm missing one piece. I need a mini peg, mini plug, mini one of these basically to stick in there that's like a male to male, I guess. Because right now I can't actually attach my light to this thing. I also need some stoppers for the poles on the end because right now they're just sort of loosely shifting back and forth on those mounts, which isn't exactly how it's supposed to work. That said, I think at least in terms of my goal for this little setup, it does seem relatively functional, and I can get some more of those poles to attach together if I wanted to make it a little bit longer, for example. I originally wanted this mount to be further back that way, but this pole wasn't quite long enough. But that's okay. I'm gonna come back to this. I'll figure out the rigging a little bit more. I do have my security wire up there, thankfully, as well. And I'm also trying to figure out for this wall over here, from where the outlet is down there to where I've been plugging in this light recently. And then there's the other side of this wall, which I can access, and that's where the test bed area is gonna be. So I'm not sure whether I wanna put some plugs up in the ceiling here and have everything wired up to that so I can switch it on and off with like one master switch, or whether I wanna do like a wall covered thing going down this wall so I can have, you know, maybe both data and power running up and down that's not gonna look like just wires on the wall. But unfortunately, as I kinda suspected, I'm going to need to push that to a different video because I'm totally running out of time. I also wanted to recover my favorite Ethernet cable, which is still running across the entire office over to where the router is. I'm gonna make my own Ethernet cable for that, but again, I gotta cover that in a later video because I'm so out of time. But here at least is the office as it stands. Joe's area here is still in much need of a computer. We're gonna be building him a computer very soon, probably in the next week or two from when you see this video. This is supposed to be like a refreshment area, so we're maybe gonna get a mini fridge, maybe a water cooler here, someplace to store our snacks. I am still kind of hoping to get a TV to put on this wall, and maybe a small couch to have sort of a little chill area over here. Maybe a place to do console gaming if it ever comes to that, or just, you know, couch-based PC gaming. And then the rest of the office, still lots of clutter around, but I'm trying to keep things clean as projects get done. And thankfully for now, I have a pretty functional and I'd say pretty nice looking spot over here to do my main presentations, tech news, and all that. So I'll be coming back with my regular content very soon. I think there's just maybe one last thing I wanted to do before we close this video out, and that is the box graveyard. Yes, the box graveyard is impressive. It was potentially going to be a permanent feature of the office here, but I think I'm at least going to take a swing at it right now and see how much of these I can break down. I didn't clear everything out, but it's a lot better than it was. And with that, this video is all finished. So thank you guys once again for all the support and positivity that you've been throwing my way. I'm so excited about this space. And even though I'm already a couple months in, and I look back at that and I think, have I really even accomplished that much in just a couple months? And actually, I think I have. So I'm happy with how it's coming along. I hope you guys enjoy it too. If you have any suggestions or comments or feedback for me, of course, leave those down in the comments section below. I'll also put some links to some of the parts and hardware and gear that I showed off today in the video's description down below. You can also find a link to my store down there, pulsehardware.net, where you can find shirts, mugs, pint glasses, and all manner of high quality merchandise to help support my channel. Also, if you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well, because I have lots of content coming at you really soon. We are just about to dive into the end of the year stuff once we get past August and into September, so I'm super excited about that as well. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.